Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Today, I want to touch upon something real quick that's been a little bit divisive. Recently, James Gunn just posted a trailer for the new Superman, and a lot of people watched my trailer reaction for it, where I got a little emotional. And there's a bunch of people talking about how this movie is going to be an epic flop, and you know what? If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. All art is subjective. If you watch this trailer and you thought it looked like shit, then by all means, you're entitled to think how you want to think. I think it's going to be a great movie. However, where I agree with you is that I don't think the movie is going to make a lot of money. And to some people, haters that want to just hate all over this thing, it's like they just won the Super Bowl. That's how excited they are in their belief that this movie is not going to make a lot of money. And you have other people talking about how no, this is going to be $1 billion film. And people asked me my thoughts on this matter. And obviously you saw that I cried over the trailer because the nostalgia of it made me really emotional, thinking back to a time when my grandma was still around and I was a child and we were sitting on the couch watching the Christopher Reeves movies together, and I'm zooming around the living room in a red cape tied around my neck, and it just brought me back to that childhood memory, and I'm really excited about it. So people wondered what I think this movie is going to do at the box office, and essentially I think that this movie is going to actually lose money financially. I think that this movie is probably going to make anywhere from $300 to $400 million and just come shy of breaking even. Now, before you think, oh no, that spells disaster for the DCU, I actually don't think that that's the case, because I think from a business standpoint, you have to look at the long game. Now, if this movie comes out and makes $300 million and it has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes and universally almost everybody hates it, then yeah, the DCU is done. I know that they just filmed Supergirl and they'll probably still put that out, but if it's followed by the same leadership of James Gunn, whereas he made Superman and it has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, I would imagine the quality carried through to Supergirl, in which most people will probably hate that too, and then they'll put out the Lantern show because they already filmed it, and then they'll just cancel the universe. They'll back up a dump truck to Matt Reeves' house and give him all the money in the world to create his Batman universe, because that's the only thing that they would have that's working. But if Superman comes out and it's wildly loved by both critics and fans, yet it doesn't make any money, I think that that's okay, because you have to look at it from a ground zero standpoint. DC's in a bad place right now. I love The Flash and I love Blue Beetle. No one showed up to watch those movies because of the stain that's hovering over the DCU. I loved Man of Steel. I loved the Snyder Cut. I loved the Suicide Squad. I am aware that the Suicide Squad was flawed, but I still enjoyed it. And I love Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Cut. But the fact of the matter is, the people that enjoyed it were far lower than the people that hated it. Most people did not like the vision that Zack Snyder was giving us. And because of that, time after time again, people would show up in hopes that it would change, and it didn't, and people gave up on the DCU. They gave up. No one was showing up to watch them anymore. And sure, it's been a couple years since we've gotten anything from Zack Snyder's universe, but there is still a bad mark there that people remember. And I think that it's going to take this movie coming out and a good word of mouth to get people to show back up to these films. I think that this movie needs to come out and at least be critically well received, because what's going to happen then is this movie's going to come out, it's going to make $300 million, and then all the people that didn't show up to see it because they just think, oh, the DCU sucks, are going to slowly hear about the word of mouth of it being good, and they're going to go, all right, I'll check it out when it comes to HBO. Then they're going to check it out and they're going to realize, oh my god, this is actually good. And then when Supergirl comes out, instead of that making $300 million like Superman, it's going to make $450 million because of the word of mouth that led people to watching Superman on streaming services and then getting excited about the next thing. And then once Supergirl hits streaming, more people are going to watch that. And then when Wonder Woman comes out, that's going to make $650 million. And then all the people that didn't show up to see Wonder Woman are going to catch that on streaming and see that that's great. And then when Batman comes out, that's going to make $900 million. And then the Justice League is going to come out, that's going to make $1.1 billion. And then Superman 2 will come out, and that will make like $800 to $1 billion, because at that point, everyone will be on board. But this Superman first needs to get out of the mud that the DC name is currently in, and it's only going to be able to profit Warner Brothers if they stick with it for the long haul and look at the upwards trajectory. If they look at it like, it doesn't matter what Superman makes now, it matters what Superman 2 has the potential to make. And if this movie comes out and it's an 80% critic score and a 90% audience score, I am willing to bet you all of the money in the world they are going to push forward, especially since Supergirl's already wrapped filming and Green Lanterns. And then once Supergirl comes out, if that makes at least $100 $100 million more than Superman, and then Green Lanterns comes out and it is wildly beloved, and then Peacemaker comes out and everybody loves it, I promise you they're gonna look at that like each project they're putting out has an upwards trajectory, just like phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they're gonna see that as, sure, right now we're only breaking even, but 2 years from now we're gonna be making billions. And that's what every business does when they're first starting off. Most businesses, when they open up, start at a loss of profit. They start in the negative with the hopes that they could eventually get to a point where they're profitable. Look at Netflix. They started off at a point making all these movies and TV shows and originals, losing money, knowing that eventually enough people will sign up to the point where they'll be making more money than they're spending and they'll be profitable. And that's exactly what happened. And that's a business model that most businesses follow. And I don't care what anybody says. For anyone watching this that is hopeful for the DCU success, if you see people online talking about, oh, if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, it's a failure. If this movie flops, that's the end of the DCU. Hell, even people that I absolutely look up to, like Christian Harloff, on his show, he talks about how if Superman comes out and it doesn't make any money, they're gonna cancel it. They're not. I promise you, they're looking at this in the long term. And for the people that say if it doesn't hit $1 billion, it's a flop, those people do not know what they are talking about. They are delusional, and I don't know where they found their math. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age, not unfortunately, I take that back. Marvel movies for a long time would all make $1 billion because they established the fact that these are chapters in an overall movie novel, if you will, where in order to understand Avengers, you have to see the chapters that precede before it. So everyone would show up to watch that. And it just became the norm for MCU movies to make $1 billion. This is a new universe. No one's expecting these movies to come out of the gate making $1 billion. If Superman makes $1 billion, will they be happy? Of course they would. Of course they want that. But they also are a business that has been around 50, 60 years, and they understand that you have to start from something small. You have to plant the seed to grow into a flower. So fret not. Superman is going to be just fine as long as it's good, and based off this trailer, it looks effing good. In the wise words, Deadpool and Wolverine, let's effing go.